Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, let me ask you something. Have you ever been at work when some big new technology gets rolled out and it just, completely bombs? Well, today we're going to break down why that happens so often with AI, and more importantly, how you can avoid the huge mistake of treating it like it's just another IT project. Because as we're about to see, a real AI transformation, it's all about people, partnerships, and a totally new way of thinking.
So, let's just start right here with this quote from leadership advisor Patti Blackstaffe. "We have seen so many projects fail because they forgot to bring the right voices in early." Man, that just hits home, doesn't it? It perfectly sums up that feeling, that pain point that I'm pretty sure we've all felt at some point, being stuck in the middle of a big tech rollout that just doesn't deliver.
I mean, does this sound familiar? You know the drill, right? The big announcement comes from the top. The IT team disappears into a room for a few months, and then, voila, a new tool appears that has almost nothing to do with how you actually get your job done. We're going to dig into exactly why that happens, and crucially, how we stop it from happening with AI. All right, first up, let's take a little trip to what I like to call the transformation graveyard. Yeah, it's a bit grim, I know, but we're going to look at a real cautionary tale here. A project that ended up on the scrap heap because everyone treated it like a simple tech upgrade instead of what it really was, a massive business transformation.
So the vision from the top was actually pretty solid. They wanted this one unified view of their customers. The whole shebang. From the very first time someone clicks on the website, all the way through to them becoming a loyal, long-term fan. On paper, the goal was crystal clear.
But then, they hit reality. And this is where all the hidden problems started crawling out of the woodwork. It wasn't just that every department had its own way of storing data. Oh no. The team found out that the finance department had literally built its own local scripts to automate their work completely off the grid, totally outside of any main system. I mean, this is the classic example of a siloed mass that was just waiting to blow the whole thing up.
So what was the result? Well, it was exactly what you'd expect. A painful cycle of stop, start, stop, start. The project kept getting put on ice because they had to go back and fix these huge foundational problems with their data. How it was managed, where it was stored, how clean it was. And the worst part? They only found these issues after they'd already started building. Just a super expensive, super frustrating mess.
Okay, so that whole story brings us to a really critical point, a fundamental truth for how business works today. Tech is the business. It's not a sideshow anymore. That old model where IT was just some support function in the basement, it's totally, completely broken, especially now when AI is becoming part of literally everything we do.
And this slide right here really lays out the massive mindset shift we're talking about. You have to stop thinking of tech as just a support function and start seeing it for what it is, the business itself. People and tech, they're not separate things anymore. They're woven together. And that means your entire organization has to work like one big connected system, not a bunch of separate departments doing their own thing.
So, if that's the problem, what's the solution? Let's talk about how to build a totally new foundation for success. Because if your organization is really one big system, well, every system needs a brain, a central nervous system to make sure everything works together.
Historically, HR and IT have kind of been at odds in a lot of companies. There's this old school belief that HR lives over here doing the people stuff, and IT lives way over there doing the tech stuff, and they just don't mix. Well, that is a huge roadblock. The answer is to smash those walls down and build a brand new, powerful alliance.
And listen, it's not just about getting HR and IT to talk. We need to go bigger. It is absolutely critical that these four key groups, HR, IT, finance, and marketing, come together to form a real transformation steering committee. Why? Because that's the only way to make sure that every single decision, whether it's about what tech to buy or how to train people, is all pulling in the same direction, towards the same goals.
Okay, so you've got this new power partnership. Great, but that partnership needs an engine, right? Something to actually drive the change. So that brings up a big question. If this whole AI transformation thing isn't an IT project, then where should that change-making power actually live inside the company?
Well, here's what's happening way too often. This thing called Organizational Change Management, or OCM, which is really just a fancy way of saying helping people get used to new stuff, it gets shoved under a project manager. It's treated like just another checkbox on a to-do list, and that is a huge mistake. It basically takes the organization right out of organizational change.
So I want you to think about this for a second.
Where does change management live in your organization? Because here's a much, much better way to do it. Create a dedicated center of excellence just for this. And this group, it shouldn't report to IT or some project manager. No, it needs to report directly to the C-suite, to the executive team. That gives it a real, permanent, strategic seat at the table where the big decisions get made.
And this is exactly why having that strategic change engine is so important. Without it, all your fancy AI projects are just going to pour gasoline on all your existing fires. It's like Patti Blackstaffe says here, if you have bad data, you're just going to scale bad data. AI isn't a magic wand. If your processes are broken or your data is a mess, AI is just going to help you make that mess bigger, faster.
Okay, so this all sounds good in theory, right? But what do you actually do? Where do you even start? Let's talk about the immediate practical steps you can take, like tomorrow, to get this ball rolling in the right direction.
All right, here's a simple 4-step plan to get your organization on the right path. Step 1. Get that core team, HR, IT, finance, marketing, in a room and define some unified goals. Start small, get clear. Step 2. Immediately start talking to stakeholders. Everyone who's going to be touched by this change needs a voice from the very beginning. Step 3. Show people what's in it for them. Don't just talk about company benefits. Show each team how AI will make their jobs better and how you're going to help them learn the new skills they need. And finally, Step 4. Your execs can't just be willing to do this. They have to be actively leading, constantly out there, communicating the vision and the all-important why.
And really, that brings us to the ultimate question you have to ask yourself. Is your organization actually building a system for the future, or are you just scaling the problems of the past? Look, AI gives us this incredible chance to totally redesign how we work, but if you don't have the right people and the right partnerships in place, you're just going to end up using this amazing tech to make the same old problems bigger and faster. And the choices you make on this right now are going to decide if you're building for the future or just getting trapped by your past.